A single hog, dressed out at about 200 pounds of usable meat and fat, would feed a family of 6 for most of a year in an Appalachian holler. That's not a euphemism. That's a real number, tracked through hundreds of accounts of subsistence farming, and it came out of an approach to the whole animal that modern kitchens have almost completely forgotten. The mountain families didn't butcher a hog and eat pork chops for a while. They processed every part of the animal into something specific, stored it appropriately, and drew from that year-long larder as needed. Nothing was wasted, and the accounting of what came from a single hog, meat by meat, fat by fat, bone by bone, is genuinely impressive. Here's how the mountain kitchen made one hog feed a family all year, and what modern cooks can steal from the method. Start with the calendar, because the timing wasn't optional. Hog butchering happened in late fall, usually late November or early December, when the outside temperature was cold enough to safely handle large amounts of fresh meat without refrigeration. The animal was fed heavily through the summer and fall to reach a proper weight, and the day the family butchered was one of the biggest working days of the year. A butchering day was often shared with neighbors. Multiple families would come together, help slaughter and process one hog on one day, then move to the next farm and do another the next day. The scale of the work. A single 300-pound animal produces an enormous amount of raw material that has to be handled within hours, required more hands than most families had. Now the actual processing, which is where the whole animal accounting starts. The prime cuts, the hams from the hind legs, the shoulders, the bacon from the belly, went to the salt cure and then the smokehouse, which we covered in earlier videos. These became the family's cured meats for the year, hanging in the smokehouse and drawn down as needed. The fresh cuts, chops, roasts, ribs, and the smaller lean pieces were used first in the weeks right after butchering. This was the season of fresh pork in the mountain kitchen, and it lasted only as long as the cold weather held. Neighbors traded fresh cuts, since a single family couldn't eat that much fresh meat before it started to go, and this trading was part of the point of the shared butchering day. The fat was rendered into lard, which we'll cover in more detail in the next video. A hog produces enormous amounts of fat, sometimes as much fat as lean meat, and all of it was rendered down into clean, snowy white lard stored in stoneware crocks in the cellar. That lard was the family's primary cooking fat for the year. Bread, pie crusts, biscuits, fried potatoes, sautéed greens, all of it made with lard. A hog gave a family a year of cooking fat. The bones went into stock. Rich, gelatinous pork stock, sometimes cooked for a day or more, sometimes reduced further into a paste that would keep in the cellar, became the base of soups, stews, and beans through the winter. The bones themselves, once boiled clean, went to the compost pile, but not before every bit of usable food had been extracted from them. The organ meats, liver, heart, kidneys, went into specific dishes that the mountain families ate promptly. Liver and onions was a butchering week meal. Souse or head cheese, made from the cooked meat of the pig's head, was a traditional preparation that turned an otherwise difficult-to-use part of the animal into a sliceable, jellied meat that kept for weeks. If this is the kind of mountain knowledge you want more of, our free Appalachian Almanac goes out every Sunday. One real method, sourced and tested, in your inbox. Links in the description. Now, the parts that most people today don't even know are food. The intestines were cleaned and used as sausage casings. Mountain sausage, seasoned ground pork stuffed into cleaned intestine, then smoked or salt-cured, was another way the family turned less desirable trim into a good winter food. A well-seasoned sausage, properly cured and smoked, keeps for months hanging in a cool room. The skin, once the meat was off, went into cracklings, the crispy, savory fried pork skin that was both a snack and a cooking ingredient. Crackling cornbread, cornbread with rendered crackling worked into the batter, was a mountain kitchen staple. The feet went into pickled pig's feet, a preserved food that kept for months in vinegar and became a snack or a lunch. The head, beyond souse, contributed to head cheese and the base of certain stews. The ears, snout, and jowl all had uses. The tail was rendered for stock. Even the bristles, on some homesteads, were saved and sold or used. Traditional shaving brushes and cleaning brushes were made from hog bristle before the plastic era. The accounting works out to something like this. A 300-pound hog, properly processed, provided roughly 30 to 40 pounds of cured ham, 15 to 25 pounds of cured bacon, 20 to 30 pounds of cured shoulder, 40 to 60 pounds of fresh pork consumed in the first few weeks, 30 to 50 pounds of rendered lard for the year's cooking, 20 to 30 pounds of sausage, multiple gallons of stock and broth, plus head cheese, cracklings, pickled feet, and organ meats. Total usable food output, often 200 pounds or more, spread across the year. For a family of 6, that's about a third of a pound of pork or pork-based food per person per day, plus the lard used in every cooking task. Combined with vegetables from the garden and root cellar, milk and dairy from a cow, eggs from the chickens, and grains from the field, one hog was a substantial share of the family's calories for a year. The modern equivalent, honestly. Very few modern American families are going to butcher a whole hog. The infrastructure to do it, the space, the tools, the neighbors, the smokehouse, mostly doesn't exist anymore. And that's fine. Not every mountain method has to be replicated at scale. But some of the principles still apply. Buy the whole animal when you can. Some farms sell quarter, half, or whole hogs to customers who freeze the meat, and the price per pound is significantly less than retail cuts. You get all the parts of the animal, including the ones the grocery store doesn't carry. Use everything. Bones make stock. Fat renders into cooking lard. Trim that would normally go to waste in modern kitchens becomes sausage or ground meat. Even in a smaller scale operation, the mountain principle of nothing wasted is a real cost saver. Learn to render lard. It's easy, it takes an afternoon, and the result is a superior cooking fat that keeps for months. The next video in this series covers exactly how. Explore the cuts you don't usually see. Pork jowl, hog maw, pork bones for stock. These are foods with long culinary traditions and real flavor. If you can get past the modern assumption that only the boneless, skinless, trimmed cuts are worth eating. The honest safety notes. If you're doing any of this at home, food safety matters. Keep raw meat cold. Use tested recipes for anything cured, especially anything using nitrite salts. Cook fresh pork thoroughly. If you're processing your own animal, do it with cold weather on your side and a plan for handling every part promptly. The mountain families lost some batches to sloppy work. You can lose the same way if you take shortcuts. The deeper lesson is what this whole series is about. The mountain families made a single animal feed a family for a year by refusing to waste any part of it. That was a matter of economic necessity, but it was also a matter of respect for the animal, for the work of raising it, for the food it provided. A hog was a substantial investment of feed, care, and attention across a year, and the family that raised it turned every part of it into food or product. We've traded that thoroughness for the convenience of buying only the parts we want. That's a real convenience. It's also, quietly, a kind of waste. The parts of the animal we don't buy still exist. They just get discarded or pushed into industrial uses that most eaters don't think about. The mountain families didn't have that option, and their kitchens were richer for it. A single hog, a working smokehouse, a row of crocks of lard, a season of sausage, a year of pork on the table. The Appalachian way of making one animal a household's food security for 12 months at a stretch. The whole hog butchery references, the historical accounts of Appalachian butchering days, and sources for finding whole and half hogs from local farms are all linked in the description. If you want all of these methods in one place, the Appalachian Way Field Guide has 47 of them with the original sources behind each one. Link below. Real methods, real sources, real history. That's the Appalachian Way. We'll see you Monday.